Hello everyone. In this video, I will read to you chapter 12, The Law of Giving, Sharing to the Poor, Kindness and Good Deeds. Besides the law of receiving, which means you will gracefully receive all the blessings that come to your life and embrace with gratitude. You need to learn the law of giving. You need to have a generosity to share your wealth with others and less fortunate, or frankly speaking, to share with the poor. If you only know how to receive without giving, your wealth will not stay with you long. This is also a natural law, a universal law. The more you give, the more you shall receive. The universe is an infinite resource. When it is infinite, you never have to worry about lacking. If you worry about lacking of supplies in your mind, you will always receive lack. If you don't understand this law and you wonder why you should give to anyone, then there will be no wealth for you. This is a perfect example. Look in your closet. You see there are some clothes that you have for years and you never been worn once. Why don't you share and give them to the poor? When you see the poor standing in the corner of the street to beg for a day-to-day meal or to hope for a better life, you should not ridicule them or criticize them. Instead, you help them to get out of poverty. Give them a helping hand, a kind understanding, a kind word to lift their spirit. Kindness and the law of giving are very critical to your wealth and happiness. No one will live happily if he only knows how to live selfishly for himself and doesn't know how to share with others. The wealth and the happiness that he has will not last long. Just pay attention to most of the wealthiest people in the world. They share 10% of their wealth or donate to different organizations for good causes. They've contributed a great deal in sharing with the world. That is why wealth keeps coming to them more and more. In reality, research shows that most of the lottery winners, after winning the lottery, have become broke and poor in a few short years. This is because they were not ready to receive their wealth. They were mentally thinking poor. They still worry about lack. Their mental states were not ready to handle the wealth they have. So it disappeared after a few years. In the real world, sometimes we do not realize that from the simple kindness, a small gesture toward others, you can make a big impact in their lives. Sometimes a little good deed, a casual, sincere word can change someone's life. Sharing and helping others can come in many different forms. It can be just a simple word, a sincere eye contact, a nice compliment, a friendly smile to engage or lift someone's mood. Every small kind act that lifted the burden of someone can sometimes change his or her entire life. Have you ever read the book or have seen the movie Les Miserables? The story was written by Victor Hugo in the late 19th century. The moral of the story is about a simple kind act of one person that changed someone else's life. I like to briefly tell you the story. This is a story of Jean Valjean, a convict freshly out of prison after serving 19 years of hand labor for stealing a loaf of bread. The original sentence was 5 years, unsuccessful escape attempts and resulting additional time pushed it to a grand total of 19 years. He believed that his sentence was grossly out of proportion of his crime. And by the time of his release, he had built up a tremendous bitterness toward society. This bitterness was only intensified by the rejection and scorn that he experienced in attempting to find work and lodging immediately after his release. He was determined to have his revenge against society and against God in some form or fashion. In the winter night, Jean Valjean stopped at the church in the small village to ask for one night's stay until tomorrow morning. Stay out of a cold, windy weather. The bishop's name was Mirel. He welcomed him in kindly, served him a meal with beef steak and red wine, and gave him a bed to stay overnight. Early in the morning, the convict Jean Valjean, instead of saying thank you and goodbye, he just sneaked out without a word and took with him a pair of silver-plated candle holders. He did not walk very far before the police found him. He got arrested by the police. When they found the candle holders in his bags, they handcuffed him and took him back to the church. When the police knocked on the door, Bishop Mirel came to the door. When the bishop saw Jean Valjean was with the police, he understood exactly what's going on. The bishop wanted to save Jean Valjean. He immediately said to the convict, "Dear Jean, why didn't you tell the police it was a gift from me? You did not steal it." The policeman was very surprised and embarrassed for making a wrong arrest. They let Jean Valjean go and they left. Jean Valjean was shocked. He was speechless and his tears were rolling down his cheeks. Just an unthinkable act of mercy and the generosity by a saintly small-town bishop drastically alters the trajectory of Jean Valjean's life. From that point on, Jean Valjean determined to lead as an honest man, and through the rest of the story, he struggled quite imperfectly at times to become an honest man. In some later years, he had become a wealthy mayor, and with his promise to the bishop, he learned his kindness by helping others and share with others. He had helped Fantine, a very poor woman, and adopted Cosette, Fantine's daughter, and helped many others. The moral point of this story tells you that when someone has mercy on others, only a simple act of kindness can transform someone else's life. Take this moral into your thinking and start giving and helping others to change their lives. The kindness act sometimes is worth a million more than just a meal. Only a simple understanding, a nice encouragement, a sincere helping hand can lift and change hatred into love. Do not quickly condemn anyone for his or her wrongdoing, but give him or her a chance to correct it, just like the Bishop Mirel did to Jean Valjean. He gave him a chance to correct it and change. The golden advices. Napoleon Hill, in one of his books, told a story about how he helped one poor man. His story was told like this. There was a man who had lost his fortune from a very rich man to a poor peddler. He came to look for Napoleon Hill to ask for some help. He asked if Napoleon can introduce him to someone who can help get through this hardship and poverty. Napoleon Hill agreed and asked him to come into his office. He took the old man to stand in front of the curtain. When he pulled the curtain down, behind the curtain was the long tall mirror. The old man looked into the mirror and he saw just a reflection of his own. What he saw is a poor-looking man who looked very depressed and unkempt hair and sad face. The man was shocked and speechless. He stood there with silence. He finally understood what Napoleon meant. The man sadly said goodbye and left quickly in the crowded city of Chicago. A few years later, Napoleon Hill received an envelope addressed to him but with no sender name. He opened the envelope and read the note inside. Thank you for introducing me to the man that I needed for helping me change my life. Now that my life has changed, I would like to pay you for introducing me to that man. I wouldn't be able to realize that the only person who can help me change is me. Thank you for your golden advices. The poor man had realized that he was the only person that had the power of changing his life back. He also realized that his destiny was in his hand. If he wanted to shift his life back to where it was before, he needed to shift his thinking and change his attitude. This is the only key to success that people need to know. If you change your thinking, your life will change too. Everything you have is what you've been attracted to. Look into your life and make decisions to change if necessary. Life is a choice. Your dream depends on your choice. It is up to you to make that choice. Don't underestimate the simple act of kindness. In life, when you help someone or share something with someone, even if it's a small act, don't underestimate the power of a simple act. Sometimes, when you help someone, the kindness will be repaid to you by someone else many years later. Sometimes the person you help will remember you for life, even just a simple act of kindness from you. I want to tell you another story. This is the true story, a story about a glass of milk. One day, a poor boy who was selling goods from door to door to pay his way through school found he had only one thin dime left. He was hungry. He decided he would ask for a meal at the next door. However, he lost his nerve when a lovely young woman opened the door. Instead of a meal, he asked for a drink of water. She thought that he looked hungry, so she brought him a glass of milk. He drank it slowly and then asked, "How much do I owe you?" "You don't owe me anything," she replied. "Mother has taught us never accept payment for kindness." He said, "Then I thank you from my heart." As Howard Kelly left that house, he is not only left stronger physically, but his faith in God and mankind was strong also. He would have been ready to give up and quit. Years later, that young woman became critically ill. The local doctors were battled. They finally sent her to the big city where they called in specialists to study her rare disease. Dr. Howard Kelly was called in for a consultant. When he heard the name of the town she came from, a strange light filled his eyes. Immediately, he rose and went down the hall of the hospital to her room. Dressed in his doctor's gown, he went in to see her. He recognized her at once. He went back to the consultant room, determined to do his best to save her life. From that day, he gave special attention to the case. After a long struggle, the battle was won. Dr. Kelly requested the business office to pass the final bill to him for approval. He looked at it and then wrote something on the edge, and the bill was sent to her room. She feared to open, for she was sure it would take the rest of her life to pay for it all. Finally, she looked, and something caught her attention on the side of the bill. She began to read the following words: "Pay in full with 1 glass of milk. Signed, Dr. Howard Kelly." Tears of joy flooded her eyes as her happy heart prayer. "Thank you, God, that your love has spread abroad through human hearts and hands." This story also had a moral story of its own. Don't underestimate the power of an act of kindness, regardless of how big or small it is. When you give someone something to eat while he's hungry, it will make him remember you for life. There is no need to ask him to repay you right away or repay you with something. Sometimes the payback could take many years later, like in the story, or it could be someone else helping you at a different time. Just reach out and help others with all your heart and not expecting anything in return. You will receive the reward in many different ways. Be generous and share your wealth with others who is in need. Don't live selfishly and take more but give less. Wealth and happiness only come to people who know how to give and how to help others. Give and take equally, align with each other. That is the nature of the law of receiving and the law of giving. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like my video. Please subscribe, give it a thumb up, like to support my channel. Thank you so much.